Nice to see you. 3 videotapes surfacing in 3 days, and every single one of them, ObamaCare architect Jonathan Gruber calling you stupid.
It's a very clever, basic exploitation of the lack of economic understanding of the American voter. The American voter is too stupid to understand the difference. Call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever.
You suggest that voters are stupid, and that's how you passed it. You don't feel bad about that at all?
I disagree vigorously with that assessment, I think is what I would say.
So who is this Professor Jonathan Gruber? In his research, it is that convinced the Obama administration that health care reform could only work if everyone is required to buy insurance. That earned him the nickname Mr. Mandate. And join us, the Washington Post, Catherine Rampal. And Catherine, it was your article of March 2012 where I first read about the fact that he was known to the Obama administration as Mr. Mandate. How far back was he involved in this health care reform in the Obama administration?
Well, I would actually predate it. It's well before the Obama administration's launch of what is now known as ObamaCare. He helped design ObamaCare. He worked with other governors, including Governor Schwarzenegger, also a Republican, to help design what a new health insurance system should look like if you wanted to expand coverage.
Did he also work with Capitol Hill?
Yeah, he worked with members on the Hill, as far as I recall, but basically more behind the scenes. He was not really writing the legislation so much. He was helping people understand what the legislation did, and he was kind of the numbers guy. He was crunching a lot of the numbers, building these complicated economic models to figure out what the final legislation should look like, what would work, what wouldn't work. And the reason why he became known as Mr. Mandate is because those complicated economic models demonstrated that without an individual mandate, he believed, and in any case, that the new system would fail.
Is there anyone else was there any other Mr. Mandate? Because what sort of struck us is that Leader Pelosi, as far back as 2009, a YouTube video refers to him, not by Mr. Mandate, but it seems that his name is the one who surfaces almost consistently with the mandate.
Yes, I mean, that's because his work is the work that was kind of the crux of deciding that was a crucial part of the legislation. Again, not only at the federal level in the Affordable Care Act, but also in Massachusetts. He has been doing this for decades in terms of coming up with these models to help figure out how policy will actually be borne out in the real world. What kinds of things can go wrong, what kinds of things can go right. And so he was the one who basically demonstrated that without this individual mandate, you would have what's called, in economics anyway, a death spiral. That you would have adverse selection. You'd have people who are only the sick people basically getting insurance, the healthy people not getting insurance, and then you'd have costs spiraling out of control.
All right, what's with this comic book that you wrote about in your article in 2012? What is it? He wrote a comic book?
He did. This was actually one of several comic books that I've seen written and produced by various academic economists to try to make a particular economic concept more accessible to the lay public. So this was sort of a gimmicky thing, but there were a few at the time. I can think of a few others that came out as well. I'm not exactly sure who the intended audience was for this, I have to say. I don't know that there's a whole lot of overlap between the comic book reading audience and those who are interested in healthcare. But yes, that was one of his many projects.
All right. In your article, you also quote him say, "Yes, I want the public to be informed by an objective expert." I mean, it's clear that he's making $400,000 from the government, and he sort of kept that a little bit on the sly, even according to articles. Does he still hold himself out as an objective expert or as an advocate?
I haven't actually spoken with him in a couple of years, so I don't know how he would label himself. But based on my conversations back then and with other economists, I mean, I do think that they try to think of themselves as objective and neutral to the extent that they can. I'm not sure that's always the case. Even if they're not on someone's payroll, they're going to be wedded to some concept or other. But his role was really to provide some sort of wonky technical expertise, not to be like a Machiavellian master strategist, which I think he's sort of been characterized as being now more recently.
I think the fact when he starts calling people stupid and talks about using the system and talking about the fact that transparency is used to fool people, I think he sort of invited that on himself. But I'm taking the last word on that. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.